Well, I always thank you for that wonderful song. I always come back to the doorway sooner or later, don't I? For those of you who've been missing it, well, here it is. For those of you who haven't, tough. Today's talk is actually called "As Above, as above, so below," but it also could be called "As Within, so Without." It also could be called "In-Betweener." We live in between things. We live in between what's called this world and my kingdom, heaven, consciousness. When we look at this doorway, we see that from the Kabbalah, which I say a million different times, it tells us that 99% of us lives in the world of spirit. 99% of us lives in the world of spirit. Only 1% is having this time on planet Earth. Doesn't it seem exactly the opposite while you're living here? You know, but 99% of us lives in the world of spirit. Literally, we are in-betweeners. We are the way in which universal life energy gets transmitted to Earth. When we say, my kingdom, it's talking about a queendom of Allah, which what the word Allah means oneness. We come from oneness, and then we play and we dance, and we live and move and have our being in the world of separation. That's what we're doing while we're here. So every single spiritual practice, everything that we do is designed to help us bring a little bit of heaven right here now on Earth. That's what you're here to do. You're that vehicle in that channel. For those of you who have been wondering, when are we ever going to get back to the Tibetan Book of the Living and the Dying? Well, guess what? We're back. But we'll switch next week, so don't get too attached. It says in the very beginning of the book, life and death are in the mind, and nowhere else. Mind is revealed as the universal basis of experience. It's the creator of our happiness and the creator of our suffering. The creator of what we call life and the creator of what we call death. It all happens where? In the mind. In the mind. So today we're going to be talking about the Bardo states of consciousness. Again, it comes from the Tibetan word, and it means in between. In between. In between. It is an umbrella term that includes the traditional states of birth, death, afterlife, and spiritual luminosity. We're going to talk about all of those things over the next few Sundays. Each of the Bardos has its own unique set of instructions and meditation practices that are directed precisely to those realities and their particular states of mind. By following the training of these practices, it is actually possible to realize those states of mind while you're still alive. That's pretty cool, isn't it? While you're still here. Spiritual practices, all the ones that we do, every teacher in this room has taught them, and every class and every workshop you go is about it, are designed to help us stay close to the gateway between heaven and earth. When we access our deepest truths, we discover and cross over from a life of fear and separation into a world of oneness and possibility. How many here would like to step over from a world of separation and fear into a world of oneness and wholeness? How many would like to have that be part of your life? How many here remember a talk I gave a million years ago called Anti-Vasan? Anti-Vasan? Only one person remembers. I told you not everyone would remember. That was actually a state of a word that was used back in cultural times when there would be people who would be assigned by a certain culture to hang out at the borderline, in-between state. Somebody who would be deliberately taken out of their normal role of householder, take care of stuff, make sure things get done, have a life, get a career, you know, go through the guilt, shame, and blame like the rest of us. One person, several people, shamans, teachers, ministers, had the role of being an in-betweener. You stay out there, out in the forest, and you let us know at the edge, what is it that we're not getting? What is it that we need to learn? What is it that we're not hearing from the invisible realm? You be our spokesperson, and we'll be the people who bring it forth into action. But we need people who are anti-Vasans. I bet that most of you in this room are anti-Vasans. You've been hanging out on the edge of these teachings for a long time. You've been doing them through A Course in Miracles. You've been doing them through the placebo effect. You've been doing it through X Factors. You've been doing it through the Bible. You've been doing it through A Course in Miracles. You like to hang out at the edge of the forest and get accurate information from the Lord God of your own being. You don't want to just take what I tell you to think. You want to know what it is you are supposed to be involved with and awake to. You are an in-betweener. You are an anti-Vasan at the deepest sense of the word. You have a connection to the spirit realm. I remember when I was real little, I don't know if you remember this, but when I was, well, you wouldn't, it's my memory. Have your own memory. And I was like 3 and 4 years old, and I used to be able to take my whatever that thing was, my spiritual body, if that's what I could call it, and I could project it down the bottom of a staircase at my home in New Rochelle. Something would jump out, and there would be little Richard, same as me, but I'd sort of wave at it, and it'd be, hi Richard, and I was as familiar with that body as I was with this body. Paul in the Bible says, just as you have a physical body, so you have a spiritual body as well. I also remember being able to astral project at will when I was younger, where I'd go to sleep and then my body would be pulled up, some spiritual force or something would be pulled up, and I'd see myself in bed sleeping. And then I would see my mother and my sisters in their bedroom, and I'd literally be pulled out of my apartment, and then I would take off into these other realms. It was kind of like, wow, where am I going? And it wasn't until it got frightening and I got fearful of it that it stopped. And it wasn't until later on, back in, well, late 60s, early 70s, that it came back. But I'm working on figuring out how to do that without any kind of alternative substances to help me do that, which is what we do, because we are spirit-filled bodies. The idea for this talk, it came out of a book that fell off the shelf. How many here have books that fall regularly off the shelf at you sometimes? Well, this one that fell off actually comes from Paramahansa Yogananda. Don't tell me I did the glasses thing again. No. I'm going to get this worked out. About another 30 lifetimes, I'm going to know exactly where everything is. It's all going to be worked out. And this one just came popping off the shelf. Again, how many have read Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda? Great book. And this one that fell off the shelf, it was the story of Sri Akshwari, who's actually the master teacher guru of Yogananda. And Yogananda is sitting on the edge of his bed, and he's mourning the loss of his great teacher. This is somebody who meant everything to him, and he's died. And he's very, very, very upset. And then while he's sitting on the edge of his bed, he's calling out to his great guru, who represents for him his collage. You know, the culmination of the collage from last week. And all of a sudden, sitting right beside him is, why, lo and behold, Sri Akshwari. And he goes, hi, I told you we don't die. And he's sitting there appearing to him in his spiritual body. Because just as you have a physical, you have a spiritual body. And he says this to him, and I love this. It's a big grandiose, but you know me. The astral universe is made of, and by the way, you don't live just in a physical universe. You live in an astral universe and a causal universe. When we say, I am made in the image and likeness of God, that's our causal body. And then the astral form, one breakdown of energy there, one lower frequency. And then the physical form is the lowest vibrational frequency, where we get to see our thoughts and feelings in a form we can work with. He says to Yogananda, to you and I, the astral universe is made up of various subtle vibrations of light and color, and is 1,000 times larger than the material cosmos. The entire physical creation, I love this image, hangs like a little solid basket under the huge luminous balloon of the astral field. The physical universe is a speck of dust compared to the invisible spiritual part of us. I saw the earth as a pale blue dot in the immense blackness of physical space. The earth where good and evil mix. And even on earth, there is so much more good than evil. The sum total of all the evil on this earth is like a grain of sand on the vast beach compared to the goodness, abundance, hope, and unconditional love the universe is awash in. Say amen. Amen. This is the truth of what's going on here. This particular universe that we live in, the good, the bad, the indifferent, what we like and don't like, is just a little tiny speck of nothing compared to what exists between doorway number 110. Wake up to who we are. And when we don't wake up to who we are, we'll play it out as if that isn't true. You are and anti-us, and you're here to channel this universal energy and bring it forward onto planet Earth. That's why you are here. You are a funnel and a channel for all that God is. It looks like you've got a life and you've got things to do and you're very busy and you've got a career and you've got all of that. But what you've got is an opportunity to awaken to who you are. And when you flip that switch from separation to oneness, when you open up the prefrontal lobe to who you are, the CEO of the brain, this place in you, you begin to see that oneness through the eyes of vision everywhere you go. And your life literally begins to change. You begin to say things that are said through you. You begin to hear things you haven't heard, but is speaking through you. You begin to see things other people aren't seeing. You begin to see right through the veil of separation and fear. Isn't this good news? That's our potential. Is it there all the time? Oh, no, we work with it. Of course we do. That's why we have these teachings. That's why I have a job. I'm so grateful for it. I need to be reminded of this every single week because I keep forgetting and going back to sleep. You are a spiritual being living in a spiritual universe governed by spiritual law. That is who it is that you are. So these states of Bardo consciousness are not for you to experience when you die. People keep thinking, what's my life going to be like when I die? Well, how it's going to be when you die is how you lived. How are you living now? That will be how you'll die. So it would be good for us to get awake while we are alive. Hello. Do it now. Don't wait till later, because what you have now, you'll have later. And you know, if you live an unconscious life, you die an unconscious life. You die in a big blurb of confusion. Bleh. You forgot again. Smack, boom, bang, on the corner, driving the car, walking across the street, thinking you're dropping someone off. Yeah, you got dropped off. Boom. And there you are again, another unconscious death. What happened? Well, you didn't practice while you were here. And you expected something different, and so you just have a few seconds in the bar, and boom, off you go. So we have the teachings to help us stay awake and conscious, right? That's all. Don't beat yourself up. I don't do this that well either. Just practice, 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 practice. So the first bardo must be the one that we're in. It's called the bardo of everyday life. Hello. That's where the dash begins. Richard Levy. Richard Harris Levy. 1950. Dash. Don't know. You don't know what the other end of it's going to be. And if you think you do, you tell me and I'll tell you. Both of us will be very wrong, because it's not what we think it is. And we're not done as soon as we think, and we could be finished in about 10 minutes. That's how it works here. We don't know. So there we are, the bardo of everyday life. Why is it so good to be in a body? Every single spiritual tradition says, get a body, man! It's a great place to practice. Why? Because you can see your own inner world in a form you can work with and deal with and heal in the outer world. You get to see it. You get to see the dynamics, Course in Miracles, of your own inner self in a form you can deal and work with in the world. So when I come to the earth plane, I come not just as Richard, who gains a whole lot of experience from just being Alvin and Rhoda's son. I come with a whole bunch of my own karma and savings and loan accounts. For lack of a better word, I bring it with me. I bring all these things with me that as I get older, and if I have spiritual practices, allow me to sort of change my consciousness by changing how I look at what I'm doing in my life. It's called our karma. You're not imprisoned by it, but you are here to learn from it. And if you don't learn what you're not learning now, you'll pick another body to learn it later. But you will learn. And what are you learning? You're learning the lessons of love. You're learning how to be more compassionate. I'm learning how to be more loving and more kind and forgiving. That's what we're here for. That's the overall lesson for everybody. I don't care whether people get it or not. We can start every single war we want, keep blowing up everything in the Middle East and dry lawns in the sand and do all this junk that we're doing to each other. It's all baloney. We're here to awaken to loving kindness, compassion, and forgiveness. And the only way to do it is through these teachings. It's not going to happen any other way. It doesn't get here. So that's the bardo of the juicy everyday life that you have. I had my daughter at my house, my oldest daughter, for about a week. And Maureen, thank God, got a break from me for a week. I need a break from myself. At least she gets to leave. You ever get a feeling like, when do I get a break from myself? When are you going to leave for a while? Go away. I think that's why I like to sleep so much. Get away from me. And Moore was telling me about my experience when the femur in my hip, when it disconnected. I was in a state of maybe a week or so, a week and a half, a few weeks, where it looked like I might be going, ta-ta. And what happened was, I got confused. I felt myself being confused. I was in kind of a bardo of confusion, of a confused state. Not all the time, but I was there. And something really amazing happened when I find myself in confusion. And this is kind of my lesson summation for you. That was done for me. It was actually done with Maureen's help and my brother Levy's help. It's like when I would start to get confused and not sure about what was going on and be just sort of feeling kind of almost completely out of it, my wife or my daughter would pull out my smartphone. By the way, we all have a smartphone, by the way, don't you know that? Everybody's got a way to get smart. You don't need to wait for that, and I'm never going to get this undone. But what they did was, they would plug in my smartphone, and notice I didn't say iPhones, I don't want to be prejudiced, and then they would take this, because people get all caught up with, I don't like electronics, I don't think you're doing that well. And I would stick these in my ear. They would stick it in my ear like this. I'm going to get this right. It worked so good at the first service. And I would stick in my smartphone, and I would begin to hear, I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. Say that with me. I am existence, consciousness, and bliss. And I'd come right back to the doorway again, and I wouldn't be confused anymore. My smartphone woke me up to who it is that I truly am. And every spiritual practice we have, every affirmation, every Course in Miracles lesson, every daily word lesson, all of them are designed by the cosmic mind with the real you in mind to help you stay awake. That's what they do. They're little tidbits of things you carry with you, things you read, breaths that you take, ways in which you engage your deeper self and then bring it forth onto earth. And then I'd be back awake again. And then I would be in that awakened state, ready for whatever would come next. And actually, literally, what happened during that time was, it was the bridge that took me out of troubled water. It literally brought me right back again. And now I'm meditating at least 2 hours every single day. Because, you know, hey, I'm on the borderline, gang. I mean, hey, I know I look good, but, you know, I'm hanging out with getting as much as I can from this lifetime. And I encourage you, wherever you are on your path, whatever the barter of your everyday life is, not to waste any more time either. It's important to be awake right now, because we are going through a massive transition on the planet. You don't need to be a rocket scientist or Einstein to get it. We are going through some big changes. And we need people who are staying at the borderline and resonating this energy of wakefulness. Stay awake. Stay awake. Don't go back to sleep. So that's the bardo of your everyday life. We all have one, right? We're all involved with our life. And then we go into what's called the bardo of death. Ooh, death and dying. And again, you die every day. Paul said, I die daily. What do you die to? You die to what has been so you can be awakened to who you truly are. I have to let go of stuff all the time. That's called dying daily. We all. Sit down, Maureen says, or I'll die. We all die daily, all the time. I have to die to Maureen telling me to sit down when I really don't want to. But die daily, let it go. You let it go all the time. And then when you let it go, you're reborn. And then when you're reborn, you enter into the state of luminosity, and then boom, you start the whole cycle over again. And sometimes it can just happen in a matter of moments. So you don't need to wait to die to have this. And by the way, we all have a master's degree in dying. Dead again? I get a sense that when we leave, it's actually quite funny. Now, it's not funny being in pain. It's not funny having, no, that's not funny. Pain is not funny. Pain is physical. The psychological hell is emotional. And that comes from our choices about how we choose to look at what's going on. It's not funny. But the thing is, I think what we get is, that's dying. It was that. Course in Miracles says, you go like this. That's death. That's the Course in Miracles says, it's just a little ball of dust goes, And then, what? That was that? I've been with people, how many have been here with people who've actually made their transitions? You're there with them. You're holding them in your hands. My 5-month-old daughter, Kristen, she's leaving. She's left her body. Boom, she's gone. She's not there anymore, but who she is always there. Boom, she's gone. Paramahansa Yogananda, Maya Samadhi. He consciously left his body. He told his disciples, I will be leaving after I give my speech in India to the astral plane. I'm leaving. He had his little party. He ate a good meal. He laid back and left. Maureen's mom made her exit in 1 week. She said, I am leaving. I'm done. And she told everybody she was leaving. And there's a picture of her, I think the day before her actual passing. I wish I had the picture. She goes, and the look on her face is, been there, done that, see you in a few moments. That's how it works here. Maya Samadhi. Myrtle Fillmore, co-founder of Unity. She had a perfectly healthy body at 80+ years old. She said, I'm leaving. I've got 2 weeks left. I'm finished. She went into Maya Samadhi. She left her body as well. We have that kind of dominion, but we're not exercising it because we're sloppy and we're tired and we're very busy. Keeping up with the body, the final frontier, and all its needs and desires and wants. I feel like my body takes over the moment I open my eyes. How about yours? What am I getting? What am I not getting? I'm hungry, I'm not hungry, I need this, I don't need that. My body's always the first thing I think of in the morning, the last thing I go to bed with at night, and everything I think about in between. Body, 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 but we're nobody. Who we are as a spiritual being, living in a body for a few short moments. So, I'm going on and on. I wanted to have a near-death experience. How many would like to just have a near-death experience right here and right now? No, not many of you would. Okay, but you know what? I'm doing it anyway, so you're going to have to listen. This is the meditation slot, and I'm doing it during this time period, but I wanted to give you just a little bit of a mini death experience, so it won't be that unusual to you when you have your actual real death experience. And the truth is, it has nothing to do with whether or not you're in your body or out of your body. It has to do with just your being willing to be present and let go. Let go. So I invite you now just to take a deep breath. I'm going to find my glasses right here and right now. The music will start playing in the background. And we'll have our little mini death experience. No mumbling during the dying. I'm teasing. You are walking on a road in the evening, which proceeds up a small hill. As the bright yellow sun is setting at the crest of the hill above you. The road is damp, as if after a rain, as the sun sinks closer to the crest of the hill. The road becomes luminous, like a ribbon of light leading directly into the sun. As you walk forward up the hill, you feel your feet and legs begin to tingle and warm as the light on the road accompanies them. At the same time, the light from the sun begins to illuminate your head and your heart. You feel yourself to be more and more connected with the light. And you notice you're no longer walking on the road, but being drawn as if on a moving sidewalk towards the sun. As you near the top of the hill, you're drawn completely into the sun's warmth and radiance, feeling your bodily outlines blur as you enter fully into the light. Surrender to the intense awareness. blazing within you. You are being welcomed into the world of spirit. You are being welcomed home. And somehow, all of this is so familiar, like you've done this dozens of times before, and you have. And we are encouraged in our practice to do it every single moment we can remember. Because the doorway to all that is a revolving door. And we're meant to continually evolve and evolve through that doorway dozens of times a day so we can stay awake to who we truly are. And for the great gift of this incredible practice, being born and reborn within us this morning, we are so grateful, aren't we? And to our teachers and teachings, we do give thanks. As we take a look at our lesson summation for today, we realize that the bardo of life includes everything right here and now. It's that term, that state of mind, of a transitional state that we all go through every day, between birth and death and afterlife and luminosity. We'll talk more about those next week. Each of the bardos has its own unique set of instructions and meditational practices which are directed precisely at those realities geared to those particular states of mind. By following the training of these practices, it is actually possible to realize these states while you're still alive. Isn't that cool? Next one. Spiritual practices are designed to help us stay close to the gateway between heaven and earth. When we access the deepest truth, we cross over from a life of fear and separation into a world of oneness and possibility. And boy, the world needs that now, don't we? And finally, love and compassion are far more than abstract ideas. They are real and concrete. They are the very fabric of the spiritual realm. In order to return to that realm, we must live as if we're already immersed in the realm, even while we're stuck in and plodding through this one. Saturday, I was feeling sorry for myself because I couldn't go in the water by the beach because of my physical limitation right now. So I was having one of those moments of resistance consciously miffed, not existence consciously in bliss. And I was standing there going, I can't go in the water, and I haven't been in the water all summer. And last year at this time, I've been in the water about 1,000,000 times. And as I'm walking on my crutches, Maureen and I parked for Curry Beach. Now, Curry Beach Saturday was beautiful. The weather was perfect, and then those little tiny waves, they weren't the smacking kind, but the kind you could actually get into. And people were just having this wonderful time. It was about 81 degrees out, and I'm thinking, oh, I have to get in here. And I'm walking down with Maureen. We're walking down the gangplank. You know how you're always walking down the gangplank of your life? You're either going to walk off and dump in and die, or you're going to walk in and swim, right? So I'm standing there, and all of a sudden, something happened. I pulled out my own inner smartphone. This happened all psychologically, by the way. I didn't happen to have my phone in my pocket, and I'm not going to try to untie these things. And what happened was, the earphones got put psychologically and spiritually into my inner ear, and they began to say, you are existence, consciousness, and bliss. You are not limited to a body or a form. You can experience everything you'd want to experience now, even while you're in the middle of this physical limitation. That can be done for you. It won't be like it was last year, but it will be like it is now. And I took the smartphone out of my ears. I should have practiced this better when I was working with this. Put it back in my pocket. And I took my sandals off, my shoes. And Maureen said, "What are you doing?" And I started walking on the beach, down to the beach with my crutches. The sand was hard enough. And I put my feet in the water after I took my shoes off and just stood there with Maureen for a half hour in existence, consciousness, and bliss, and had an experience of the ocean as I can experience it now. Not like I did last year, not diving in head first, but I got wet. Do you feel that? I felt the presence of the Spirit. These teachings can wash and bathe you no matter what your physical condition. You don't have to wait for things to get better to experience immersion into what you are truly right here and now. Capiche? You got it? Birth, death, life, illumination. Not tomorrow, not next week, not after, but right here, right now. Practice well and practice deeply, not just for yourself, but for the benefit of all beings everywhere. Namaste. Okay. Let's take a moment now.